Now, the other thing that this group of teachers did when they were going through and doing that research, they realised that there was a lot of other stuff in the curriculum, the maths curriculum, that they didn't actually want to, or could see they didn't need to devote a whole lesson to. It was stuff that they wanted to be talking about and teaching continually, incidentally, all along the watchtower. So all the stuff about, you know, odd and even numbers, sure, a little bit of a lesson on it, but it kept coming up day after day. Let's talk about how many kids are in the class today. Oh my God, get yourselves into odd groups to start the day off. Get yourselves into even groups. What's longer than that and what's heavier than that? A whole lot of maths can be done, some of that maths can be done incidentally, that people get overwhelmed with the size of the curriculum and as a result either do nothing or perhaps do the wrong things, lose the focus, you know, start at the top and work down each progression point, when in fact you need to be more strategic, pick out the core stuff from the whole pile, bring it up to the front on a ready reckoner kind of document, and then create stuff like this. These teachers, and I know it sounds corny, but it worked for, you know, to get your head around it. They made these, put them on little laminated cards and carried them around in their pockets so that wherever they were, whenever they were, 5 minutes while you're walking to the library, while you're sitting outside waiting for assembly, all that kind of stuff. Here was stuff that they could be talking about incidentally with the kids all the time. Just ways that people handle the quantity of maths. Now, let's see how you might go after that kind of thing, or even before that. You had all been emailed these learning focus statements as well. Can you put your hand up if you've got these here today? Now, again, these absolutely beautiful statements are in the VELs. I'm sure you'll be familiar with them when you read them, because you probably all read the VELs last holidays. And these are very succinct ideas of those key things that need to be taught again at each level, that teachers could do far worse than even starting from here with their ready reckoner stuff. You know, have a look and see what is it that I'm supposed to be teaching in number at level 1, because this is where the maths curriculum begins from. The learning focus statements. Out of that, all the other things fall. Everything else is somebody in the world's attempt to try and make this easier for you, to unpack it, as Deceased keeps saying, unpacking. They're unpacking everywhere. So they begin with this learning focus statement. That's what you need to know. And now all the other documentation shows you what do we mean by those things. Now, the task that you're going to get in a minute when I get these sheets and find out how many I've got is I'm going to ask you to have a look at level 2, 3 and 4 and see as a group if you can pull out, dot point wise, what are the key things that teachers at each of those levels are supposed to be teaching in number. This will be nice for you to have a look and see what you came up with before. Does it marry with what's in that learning focus statement? Can I just ask, when I looked around the room, I see some of you have written big, long, like many sentences across the page, which is a direct lift out of the thing. That's a beautiful thing. But can I ask you now to go back and look at some of those sentences and see if you are going to put a heading on whatever that thing is, that sentence is about. Oh God, I keep doing that. In a ready reckoner, what would be the words, rather than the big long sentence, what would be the word, the heading that you would put there for each of those things? I'll give you a few minutes. Just go through your list and see what would that look like. Okay, can we just come back together? Good feedback here. This is so much easier just to do this, and you've got to start big in order to come back little, which is true. You've got to start with a whole school plan in order to make sense, doesn't it? To pluck out the bit that you're responsible for. Those documents, the learning focus statements, when you find them on the Deceased website, they don't look like that on a neat one-page document. Level 1 is at the start of all the level 1 stuff. Level 2 is at the start of all the level 2. I just cut and pasted them across into a document that would make it easy for us to use. I'm a great one for easy to use, as you see by the ready reckoners. So if you go in looking for them, you'll find them at the start of each level, and then all the stuff comes out afterwards. Okay, now hopefully you got at least 1 or 2 levels done there where you shrunk it down to, you know, some terms that you would be able to put on a ready reckoner to make it a bit easier for teachers, so that in all the documentation they have a bit of a cleaner path through as to what is it that they're supposed to be teaching. And then all the documentation exists there behind them if they need to go and look up a little bit more. But my idea here is to give people a starting place that their planning can fall out of. Now, I'm going to give you some examples now of some ways that different schools have handled that same kind of task. This school set up from prep to grade 6. This is just their number stuff, and you can see if I were writing their ready reckoner, they've decided across the whole school their ready reckoner headings are going to be counting, place value, add, subtract, multiply, divide, fractions and money. And in some cases none of that will appear, you know, like fractions. There's nothing at the prep level, very little blah 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 as you go down. You don't have to teach maths in prep. Yeah. So you might have a think about, would you, if you were going to set up a whole, and if you're going to, I hope that you will at some stage, set up a whole school planning document, even if it's just for number, would you think about coming up with headings like that right across the whole area, or would you allow teachers to put the headings from maybe the ready reckoner for their VELS level across the top and then sort their way through? Why is there nothing for the preps? Because you spend your whole time teaching them to sit up on the chair and come out from under that table and share. That's why preps actually should do fractions, you know, share. Okay, I don't know if I showed you this one. This is another school trying to make sense for their teachers in a reasonable way about, and unfortunately this one's structure, but what is my chunk of the continuum that I'm responsible for, shrunk down to its, you know, basic level, so that I know what my key things are that I have to do. And they put some pictures there to help themselves as well. You see all of these become like a one-page thing that you could put in a frame on the wall and think, that's what I'm doing all this year, that's what I'm focusing on, don't lose the plot. And they've got, there's another one that's similar for space. You're getting the power. Lena said before, the PowerPoint will go up on the website. There she is. Tell her. Can you do it in a big voice?
It'll go up on the website, and I will email you these PowerPoints.
How's that? All right.
And any handouts, everything you'll get. Yeah.
Oh, we've just found that there's some missing handouts as well. There, and I'll just, while we're asking about that, seeing you here, did everybody get these? This, it looks like this number, and it's got simplified progression points. That one came, but for some reason the other one didn't. Okay, that's good.